Good morning. Thank you everyone for joining us at the Coffee with the IA webinar series today. This session will be honoring Jackie Robbins, the winner of the 2021 Industry Achievement Award. This is the first of 4 webinars with IA award winners. We have an additional one next week with Angelo Maisie, another Industry Achievement Award winner, and then 2 more the following 2 Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, following the final one on November 2nd with the incoming IA president, where you can hear about John Newland. And your registration for this gets you to all of these sessions, so no need to register again. Just use the link that you received in your IA store confirmation. These videos will also be recorded and available on our YouTube page and will be sent out to registrants as well at the end. So this kicks off again the 4 award winner interviews, and we are proud to have Hunter Senninger sponsor the awards program. So we're going to start now with a brief word from the sponsor of the IA Awards program, Hunter Senninger.
Thanks for joining us today. Despite the challenges of the past year, as a leading manufacturer of landscape irrigation and agricultural solutions, we're working hard to our valued customers and the industry at large for partnership events. While we can't be face to face, we will review every step of the way to provide the products, tools, and training you need to succeed. Thank you for supporting the industries and
Again, thank you to Hunter Senninger for sponsoring this awards program. So as we move forward through this interview, please utilize the chat feature to ask any questions you may have of the award winner. We will try to get those answered. This is really our opportunity to hear from these award winners about their story and why they have been honored nominated by their peers and chosen by the IA. So before we welcome Brian and Jackie, I'm going to read a brief bio of Mr. Robbins. He is truly a pioneer in the micro irrigation field. Over 55 years ago, as micro irrigation technology was just becoming available in the United States, he recognized the potential benefits that the technology could provide. His research, publications, teaching, and work with extension and producers played a significant role in seeing micro irrigation technology adopted as a primary method of irrigation. Now, we all look forward to hearing more about Jackie, so without further ado, I will ask IA President Brian Weinin and award winner Jackie Robbins to join us again. Good morning. Welcome, Jackie. Welcome, Brian. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Before we get going, though, there was a slight technical glitch on my end, and we're going to watch the sponsor video again. I appreciate the chat showing me that. That is a user error on my end. It wouldn't be a Zoom without some sort of technological glitch. So if you bear with me for just 30 more seconds, we're going to watch the sponsor video just one more time.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. Despite the challenges of the past year, our commitment to innovation and customer support is stronger than ever. As a leading manufacturer of landscape irrigation and outdoor lighting solutions, we're working hard to meet the complex needs of today's market. To our valued customers and the industry at large, our partnership remains. While we can't connect face-to-face, we'll be with you every step of the way to provide the products, tools, and training you need to succeed. Thank you for supporting Hunter Industries and FX Luminaire.
Okay, thank you for waiting through me with that. Now, without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to IA President Brian Weinin.
All right, well, thank you, Coleman. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today with Coffee with the IA. And I want to welcome Jackie Robbins. We heard your bio that Coleman had read, very, very impressive. And I just want to say congratulations on the Industry Achievement Award from the IA. Not only would it be great to be nominated for it, but I can't imagine to actually be awarded it. So congratulations, Jackie, on receiving that award.
I'm really appreciative of receiving it, but I receive it because of so many people around me supported me through the years. And I'm humbled by receiving it. It's quite an award I did not expect, but it's great that I have it. Many others deserve it. Okay.
I think it's wonderful, and I thought it was wonderful that your son Jay had actually submitted the forms and everything to put your submission in for the award. My son works with me, and I work with my father, and I can't imagine how proud you must be of him for having written all those great things.
I am proud of him and Robin, Jay and Robin, both my sons, but I'm also cautious when I'm around them. They've taken the business away from me and set me aside, you know. But it's good to be appreciated even by your family. Right?
You must have taught them well if they're able to do that. I'm waiting for my son to do that one day, so I too can enjoy a little bit of retirement. But Jackie, I just wanted to ask you a few questions. And just to clarify, I know we spoke about this in our talks a little earlier. A lot of what we refer to as micro irrigation is also in the turf field for those of us, for those joining us from the turf side. We kind of refer to that maybe as drip. It's slow application of water, I think you said. Wasn't that, Jackie?
Slow and precise and using low pressure, right?
Correct. So just to clarify that, but being a pioneer, can you kind of talk me through what first excited you about the opportunities for micro irrigation? I mean, it really wasn't around in the US back when you were grabbing hold of it and running with it. So tell us a little bit about what got you going with it, and obviously where it is today.
Well, we all knew the benefits of irrigation, sprinkler and surface mainly, but a little bit of sub irrigation too is practiced in the US. But we also knew the limitations of irrigation and some of the things that held back the use and expanded use of irrigation. And we really needed some different features. Micro irrigation held promise of filling a lot of niches that were missing. And so mainly it looked like a good solution in nurseries and greenhouses, getting water on plants without wetting the foliage, without wetting all the surface of the fields, and just fit some of the needs that we weren't able to meet or didn't meet as well as we wanted to using what was current available. And we particularly appreciated the fact that we could irrigate, maybe use less water and less energy by putting the water exactly where it was needed and when it was needed. It wouldn't interfere with cultural practices. We could be irrigating and still in among the plants, working with them. It had a lot of features we thought if we could only get it to work. But initially, of course, we were very limited on what we had.
You mentioned that, Jackie, and I guess one of the questions that always comes to mind, especially somebody who was a pioneer in the industry, what were some of the roadblocks or limitations that you had to overcome with this, kind of a new way of irrigating? Because when you first started this, and of course I was much younger at 55 years ago, but we had a lot of water, people sprayed it all over and usually overwatered a lot of things. And obviously water has changed now and we have to conserve as much as we can. So tell me a little bit about some of the obstacles you ran into.
Well, primarily we didn't have product. They had not been perfected at that time. And the products we had, to be honest with you, initially were poor, didn't work all that well. For example, the hose that we were using Even after we developed a pretty good hose, we gave 2 years of warranty. And we got to replace a good bit of hose even with that. It stress cracked real badly. And it wasn't soft, so it wasn't very easy to put emitters in, and multitudes, many emitters, outlets that we needed to do micro or drip irrigation. And the outlets that we had, the emitters were not precise. We had a lot of variability, manufacturing variability, so to speak. Plug-in was a problem because we had to make the outlets or emitters very small, the passageway for the water. And we really didn't know how to design a system with leaky pipes. Leaky pipe hydraulics is a major hard problem to solve. It's a fluid mechanics problem, and even those well versed in it were limited in ability to design irrigation, micro irrigation. And that led, by the way, to me taking sabbatical from Louisiana Tech in 77, 78. Went to Hawaii to study under Ipai Wu and Harris Gitlin to see if I could master a little the hydraulics of micro irrigation. And I'd go to the ends of the world to learn it. Hawaii was the end of the world, right?
I wouldn't call
Some
Hawaii the end of the world. Matter of fact, I've always wanted to take a sabbatical there, and maybe I'd never come back. But I don't mean to read off of this, but I see everything from Clemson University, Louisiana State University, Princeton University, North Carolina State, and then of course the University of Hawaii. I mean, very, very impressive in all the places that you've had the opportunity to be a part of the faculty on.
Yes, I don't know how I managed to work my way into all those places. But let me tell you, one of the other big problems at that time was we didn't know how to use micro irrigation. Really, we had to learn how ourselves and then to teach the end users. So the hydraulics and the training of ourselves was important. Okay. But Hawaii was a nice assignment. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that one either. Now, through all this research and with all this difficulty with the products, you ultimately filed for your own patent. Can you tell me a little bit about the product that you had patented and what problem that overcame for the drip industry or for the micro irrigation industry?
Well, actually, the patent was an ego trip for me. I used it as a way to record or sort of publish what I had learned about drip irrigation. It was finally patented in 1984. And it was essentially dealt with drip irrigation tubing, drip irrigation hose, drip irrigation tape, and how to get emitters in that would function better. And it included several claims of tortuous paths rather than a smooth path through the outlet. And that gave us turbulent flow, scarring action to help control plug-in and so forth. But it was also the main feature was it was sort of a simplified method offered for manufacturing. Hopefully, the idea was that maybe it could be used without a great deal of technology, maybe in developing countries that can make their own drip tapes and that sort of thing. And it did satisfy my ego quite a bit, seeing a number of the claims developed to some of the drip tapes and hoses that we now have. And so I guess I'm just too proud of what happened on that. But it was a way to record what I had found.
Let's keep talking about this ego a little bit. You know, your career stemmed from teaching to research, consulting, and even open up a design and distribution company. Tell us a little bit about your history and your life and how this all kind of transpired. I mean, you got your two sons and involved as well, and so just wanted to hear a little more about Jackie and how these things all came together.
I was on the faculty at Louisiana Tech as head of ag engineering, a department of ag engineering. And I was challenged to not only teach students, but also develop faculty. When Louisiana Tech allowed us to do 1 day per week of public service. That could be research, teaching, anything like extension type work. We were trying to develop our understanding of how to get micro irrigation started. We were searching around trying to get product. And a few manufacturers had some product online at that time, but there were no dealers in our area. And this, again, was in the early 70s. And before I'd taken sabbatical and so forth. And we'd go directly to the manufacturers and ask them to provide us with product, either give it to us or sell it to us, whatever they could do, but it didn't fit their scheme of a business. So, you know, the manufacturers set up distributors and that sort of thing. So they got us to consider, they asked us to set up a business so they could legitimately get product to us. When I returned from sabbatical in 78, I did establish a business, and mainly to get product for my students and my faculty so that we could further advance micro irrigation. And so they didn't leave it at that, though. The manufacturers and their reps and so forth began to tell people that we were dealers and that they could get products from us as well. And then the extension groups around over the nation learned we were dealers and that we would provide products to them. And so the business just grew slow but steadily until I retired from Louisiana Tech in 89, and we the boys were still rather young at that time. When Jay finished Clemson in about 93 or 94, I didn't expect him to come back and join the business, but he did. And then Robin finished Louisiana Tech a few years later. And again, I sure didn't expect him to be interested in the business, but they grew up in it, really. And they knew it, and they wanted to be a part of it. So they just came with me, and as I say, and eventually pushed me aside and took it away from it. And
well, that's a wonderful story. I mean, that's you know, exactly how I think every father would love to see his son join him in his business and then make it grow even beyond the father's dream. So that's a fantastic Fantastic story about irrigation, Mark. I didn't want to get past this. You know, of course, your ego is continuously getting stroked here, so careful. MacArthur Fellowship in 62, 63, Hydrology Institute Fellowship, NSF Traineeship, Science Faculty Professional Development Program Grant. You're also awarded the best or award for the best publication in College of Engineering, Distinguished Agriculture Engineer award also from Louisiana section of the ASE. So the list goes on and on, but a lot of great things have occurred in your life as you were going through. Is there any of the awards you'd like to talk a little bit about, or the grants?
All of them, I guess. Very appreciative of those and the people who set those up for me and helped me with them. And we had a lot of that. You know, this award deals with irrigation. Maybe you think it's macro irrigation, but I did as much in sprinkler and as that, and a little bit in surface or gravity irrigation. But my major research throughout this time was in non-point pollution from animal production in the U.S. But people have always been gracious to me and helped me along, and I really appreciate that. I don't know how always to express my appreciation, but it's there anyway.
Well,
Many
Jack,
people in IA and ASA, BE, and other organizations that I've been a part of have just been real good, you know.
and let's switch over to the Irrigation Association. You've been very active. You've done some teaching and education certification programs. I think you even reminded me that you might have wrote a chapter in that book, the irrigation book. So tell us a little bit about your involvement with the IA and how how the IA has helped you.
Well, I don't really remember when I joined or became active in IA. About the time the name was changed to IA, I think in the mid-60s. Before that, IA, Irrigation Association, had been called Sprinkler Irrigation, and a little before that, a little different name. But anyway, I started, I think, in that time, and joined some of the committees and so forth, just sat in on them mainly. But in the mid-80s, I was invited or encouraged to join the Certification Board of Governors and to be somewhat responsible for the micro irrigation activities in that group, including grading all those tests that we gave to see if a person was worthy of certification. We graded those by hand in those days. That board, the Board of Governors for Certification, was really our working group. We did a lot of work in there to make the test that we were given better after we got involved, and to be able to grade the test electronically. We underwent some training on how to write tests to make them really indicate how much knowledge a person had in irrigation, and then to be able to certify that. I was active in other things like this specifications group, but I did write a couple of chapters in irrigation, the 6th edition. The first 4 editions was called sprinkler irrigation, and then the 5th one was renamed irrigation. But it didn't cover the extent of irrigation completely, and we pushed very hard to get a 6th edition published that would be more comprehensive of irrigation and related fields, allied fields. So I am pleased that we finally got it published in 2011.
Yeah, and it's available on the IA website for anybody who, would like to have an edition of it. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. The 2 chapters I got, one was to explain the types of irrigation that we have, mainly 4 types in ag. And then the other chapter was on sprinkler irrigation, not micro irrigation. Others were willing to do that part. So you might think of me as a micro irrigation person because our company is known for that, but we're full line irrigation dealers, so we do all kinds.
Yeah, Jackie, I can't thank the early pioneers at the Irrigation Association. I know for myself, I have 3 certifications, all of which, even though I've been in the industry now 43 years, I learned something about a particular part of the irrigation. How do you feel the education and certification has served the Irrigation Association?
It gives credibility to the association so that we can declare Irrigation Association is the leader in irrigation knowledge. And the certification allows us to certify that our people meet some minimum standards at least, and really know something about irrigation. And the education part, of course, is necessary for us to be able to train people so they can become certification. I'm very proud of the fact that we started gathering education materials, not only the book Irrigation, but other publications that we use in training our people to become certified in just in irrigation in general.
Jackie, we've only got, oh, I'm sorry. We've got only,
notice
go ahead.
my internet service may be giving us problem. I notice a note here that we aren't always on. I hope that's not a factor.
No, you're doing just fine. I can hear you clearly and you've been coming through just fine. We've only got a couple minutes left and Coleman's going to have a couple of closing comments. But just one last question. The industry is changing all the time in the irrigation industry, and the time I've been in it, obviously the time you've been in it. The next 5 to 10 years, what do you see as the next step in irrigation that's going to come into the future?
That's very, very hard question. I'm not a seer. I do believe we'll be able to give more service to our end users. I think we're a little lax in that in a lot of cases. And I believe we're on the path of being able to really help the end user more. The one area that I feel like we can expand the use of irrigation, I don't know if I mentioned that only about 1/5 of our harvested cropland is irrigated today, but that 1/5 accounts for 50% of the revenue from our croplands.
Wow.
So we'd like to expand the irrigation more, and I think we'll be able to as time goes on and to serve allied interests and not just classical irrigation. One of the things that I would like for us to do in the future is to be able to get into the forestry industry more, and particularly in mitigation of wildfires. I think irrigation industry has an obligation to develop means to control those fires, means to prevent them and so forth, and be a part of that at least. And I'd like to see us expand in that. And I think that's a wide open area for us in the future.
That's great insight. I've never thought about that. That's very true.
Well, thank you to Jackie for joining us this morning. I've been fascinated listening to your story, and I think the future of the industry, that was a hopeful message, that there continues to be opportunities for folks within the industry to expand and to find new exciting areas that can really help the nation. So I appreciate each of you joining today. I appreciate everyone who is on the Zoom joining. We have additional sessions coming up again next Tuesday, which will be October 12th. We will have Angelo Mazie, who is the other Industry Achievement Award winner. We'll have a similar interview conducted by Brian Weinin. I really encourage each of you to join that as well. And this is a series of webinars hearing from award winners. Thank you again to Jackie. Congratulations to Jackie for this achievement, and we look forward to you continuing to serve the IAA. And everyone, you have a wonderful morning.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the award and the people who helped me get it.